want to talk about something that many of us dread, misunderstand, and do everything to avoid. That is failure. But what if I told you that failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace? What if I told you that failure is not a dead end, but a stepping stone to success? Our world is full of stories that show us how failure can become one of the most powerful tools for achieving greatness. So today, let's focus on one of the most formidable forces in our lives, failure. Today, let us talk about fear of failure and the fear of making mistakes. The truth is, fear is not the enemy. Fear is the foundation upon which greatness and glory can be built. The secret of life is not about avoiding failures, but about the strength to rise every single time we fail. Failure is not about falling, it's about the courage to rise again. We stand taller, we stand stronger, and we stand more resilient. Many of us are paralyzed and victimized by the fear of failing. But it is impossible to live without failing. We must learn to accept failure because everyone fails at some point in their lives. It's not the act of failing that defines us, but the act of never having tried to succeed over failure that defines us. Don't let the fear stop your journey thinking of what might happen in your life. When we allow ourselves to accept failure, we can open the door to true success. If we stop at failure, we cut ourselves off from the glory which lies on the other side of our journey. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is not the opposite of success, but failure is a part of success. We can learn a lot from children regarding this failure. Children are not bound by the fear of judgment. Children, they simply keep going, moving, trying again and again without fear of failure. But as adults, we must learn from them to rediscover this nature of children. The nature of fearlessness, we can learn it from children. And what happens when we fail? In case if we fail, we learn, we grow, we become the best version of ourselves. So we can learn a lot from children. We must welcome our mistakes. We must study our mistakes. We must use our mistake as our greatest teachers. It's only when we risk failure, then only we can discover great things. If we cannot step out of our comfort zones, if we cannot step out of our comfort zones today, we limit our ability, we limit our capability. So we cannot truly experience life. It is glorious even to fail in great attempts. Great failures can bring glory, not the failures. But the attempts we did, they brought us glory. Do not fear failure, fear mediocrity, fear regret, fear never having tried. The one who fails and gets up is always stronger than the one who never tried. Today, don't fear failure, but rather fear not trying. I urge each one of you today, let your fear of failure become the fuel for your success. Make it the fuel of your success. Your failure has to turn it into your success. Let the voice of failure, doubt be drowned by the roar of your courage. And let every stumble you face make it a step towards your greatness. Fear can convince us by saying failure is the end, a dead end. But failure is not the end or dead end. But giving up is the dead end. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. When we stop trying, then only we fail. And it makes us an average person who fears failure. There are two different type of persons, average persons and great persons. Choose today whether you are an average person or great person. In these two categories, the difference lies in how we perceive and how we respond to failures. The great people, those who succeed, and those who succeed understand that failure is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of courage. A courage to try again and again, to keep going when things get tough. After all, when man faced with failure, when we faced with failure, average people give up. But the great ones find the strength to try one more time. Let's introspect. Let's check ourselves today whether we are in the category of average people or ones who destined for glory and greatness by conquering failures like great people. So today we have to introspect in which category we belong to. We have to remember trying and failing is far better than never having tried at all. If we let the fear of failure dictate our choices, we will never know the heights of our life's journey. And we never know the heights of what we are capable of reaching, the heights, the potential in our lives. We may be disappointed if we fail, but we are doomed if we don't try. Fear kills our dreams, not the failure. Failure never kills our dreams, but not trying kills our dreams. Failure will convince us to stop before we even begin our journey. But failure is only a temporary detour on our journey. It is a delay. It is a detour. It's not defeat. Failure is not defeat. Failure is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced. It is something to be accepted. Because in every failure, there lies the seed of an equaling a great success. There lies the seed of success in failure. That is, we have to recognize today. Understand that we may encounter many defeats, but we must not let them define us. It is necessary to encounter setbacks so that we can know who we are, what we can rise from, and how we can still come out of those failures. Success is often achieved by those who don't even realize that failure is inevitable, because it is not failure itself that matters, but our willingness to rise every time we fail. Failure is simply success in progress. Failure is simply success in progress. It is the process of refining our skills, building our resilience, discovering our true selves. It is the very force that shapes us into the people we are meant to be. Let's not allow our failures to go to our hearts. My dear friends, remember this. We should not allow our failures to go to our hearts. And let's not allow our success to go to our heads. Greatness is not about never failing. It is about how many times we get back up. It's about developing success from failures, using discouragement and defeat as stepping stones to achieve our dreams. So let's not judge ourselves by our success alone, but by the number of times we fell down and found the courage to stand up again. Let every failure to be a lesson. Let it teach us. Let it guide us. Let's not failure define us. Let them refine us, because the past can hurt, run from it or learn from it. Each mistake we make, it means we are learning faster whenever we commit a mistake, which means we are learning faster, we are growing stronger, and we are moving closer to our goals. My dear friends, in this way we are learning, that is, we are supposed to accept from our failures. So we step forward on the journey of life. Remember this, fear is temporary. Fear is temporary, but regret is forever. Failure should not rob us the joy of discovery, our own potential. It robs our potential. We must allow failure to be the portal of discovery, because it meant to be the portal of discovery of inner strength over failures. Let's give ourselves permission to fail, and in doing so, we give ourselves permission to succeed beyond our wildest dreams. When a child is learning to walk, they stumble, they fall numerous times before finally mastering the skill of walking. Do we label the children attempts as failures? No. We see them as learning opportunities, which is a necessary part of growth. So, why should we fear our own failures as adults when children ignore such temporary failures? Thomas Alva Edison failed thousands of times before finally inventing the light bulb. But when asked about these repeated failures, he said, I have not failed. I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Every failure was a lesson to him. Every failure was a lesson that guided him closer to his success. If you see the life of Abraham Lincoln, before becoming one of the greatest presidents in the history of United States of America, he faced countless setbacks. He lost multiple elections, failed in business, and even suffered a nervous breakdown. But these failures did not define what Abraham Lincoln is. They taught him resilience. His failures taught him resilience. His failures strengthened his resolve to succeed. If we see the life of Steve Jobs, he's the one who founded Apple. Once he was fired from the very company he created. Imagine being told that the company you built from the scratch no longer wants you. Most of us would have been devastated by that decision. But you know, Steve Jobs didn't give up. He used this setback as an opportunity to create new companies like Next and Pixar, which ultimately led to his return to Apple. Under his leadership, under Steve Jobs' leadership, Apple became one of the world's most valuable companies. These stories show us that continuous failures do not determine or define our destiny, but instead, our reactions to those failures, our resilience to those failures, our willingness to those failures, and our willingness to learn from those failures, the determination to keep moving forward, they are what truly matters in our lives. We have to start seeing failures as feedback. Every setback provides us with information we didn't have before. It tells us what works and what won't work. So, we have to learn lessons from our failures. Once we shift our perspective regarding these failures becomes less daunting and more of a learning tool. So, we have to learn from failures. This is the first thing to overcome failures. Then, second thing is, After a failure, take your time to reflect. Why did things not go as planned? What could we have done differently? We have to use this information to refine our approach in coming days. Then third point, we have to understand that failure is a part of the process. Failure is not the end, but it is the process. Don't set ourselves up for disappointment when there is a failure by expecting everything to go perfectly. Setbacks will happen, and we must prepare to deal with those setbacks constructively so that we can overcome failures. Then comes to the fourth point to overcome failures, that's building resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from failures. We can strengthen our resilience by practicing patience, by staying optimistic, by focusing on our long-term goals rather than short-term setbacks, so that we can conquer failures. Then fifth point to overcome failures, don't hesitate to reach out for help or support. Discuss your failures with your mentors, friends, family members. It can provide valuable perspectives and emotional support. So, when we face failures, we should not hesitate to take support from our peers, friends and family members. And we have to reframe our failures. Every experience, whether good or bad, it adds value to our life. If we fail, we have gained a unique experience that no one else has. So use it as your experience, use it as your advantage so that we can conquer failures. We can turn failures into success with a formula that is called fail, learn, adapt, and persist. Fail. Don't be afraid to try something and fail at it. Learn. Analyze the failure to extract valuable lessons. Third one, adapt. Make changes based on what we have learned. Fourth one, persist. Keep going, moving forward, and never give up. Failures do not define us. What defines us is how we react to failures, how we learn from those failures, and how the way we use those failures to shape our future. Success is not measured by the number of times we avoid failures, but the number of times we stand back up, stronger and more determined than before. Let's accept our failures. Let failures be the foundation of our success. Finally, as we are talking about failure today, the world is full of failures. The world is full of stories of people who have turned failures into triumphs, business that rose from ashes, and nations that emerge stronger from turmoil. It's time to add our own stories to this list. Let's transform every failure into stepping stone. Let's embrace the power of perseverance, and let's become the best version of ourselves. Thank you.